What will happen to Georgia's 2024 class if five-star quarterback Dylan Raiola does flip his commitment from Georgia to Nebraska like we think he is going to do? It might happen this upcoming weekend when he takes his official visit to Nebraska. But, at the end of the day, I have to get this out there. Georgia's going to be just fine. Not one prospect out there is going to make or break this program, especially at quarterback. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's a position where Kirby can go into the transfer portal on any particular season and get a quarterback who can play for him the next year. This is not a situation where you want to develop, right, along the offense and defensive line, almost every other position, right? You want those guys in that you recruit so you can develop and turn them into impact players. But Georgia's going to be fine one way or another. He has not publicly come out and said, I'm flipping from Georgia to Nebraska. But after several reports that came out Monday suggesting that he is going to possibly open up his recruitment, which could happen sooner than later, I got a bunch of texts, Matt, what is happening? This doesn't make any sense. I thought he was going to be in Athens next week. What's going on, right? So that's what I want to talk about in this video. I'm going to talk about Ryan Puglisi in a minute. I'm going to talk about, what quarterbacks and their families are looking at Georgia as it relates to the quarterback position, right? I cover recruiting. I have to get to know these kids and their parents, their trainers, high school coaches, everything. So I know how they look at this. And Dylan Raiola, his family, they have no ties to Georgia. They've got ties to Nebraska, the team that is coming in late, basically saying, what is it going to take? What is it going to take for you to come and try to be the savior, at Nebraska for us and lead us back to where we want to go? Dylan Raiola is very, very good. I don't know if he's good enough to take Nebraska and take them past Penn State and Michigan and Ohio State and put them on that level. I don't think he's that good yet, especially if they're going to ask him to come in and play maybe year two. I know they got Kyle McCord coming from Ohio State, if that has officially happened. But here's how quarterbacks and their parents are thinking right now. When they look at Georgia, they see that you're going to have to wait a little bit, right? Stetson Bennett waited 3 years removed from high school before he was finally, playing significantly at Georgia in 2020. And of course, he had to transfer to Jones County and then come back, then win the job. Carson Beck waited 3 years on the bench. If Jacob Eason, didn't get hurt, Jake Fromm was going to have to wait. If Jacob Eason never got hurt to start that 2017 season, he was supposed to be the guy, and then Jake Fromm. So Jake was supposed to wait to earn his job. Stetson obviously had to wait. Carson had to wait. Brock Vandegrift waited, and he said, I'm out. Gunner's waiting, right? If you want to be the quarterback of Georgia, it's not going to come easy. You have to work for it, you have to earn it, and you have to wait your turn. That's what we've seen. Jacob Eason started as a freshman because Kirby came in and they had Grayson Lambert at quarterback. He said, nah, dude. I'm going to get this big arm kid from Seattle. I don't want to play a freshman quarterback, but we have to. And then kind of Jake Fromm the next year got that job because of an injury, not because he was the better quarterback. Maybe he was, we don't know. But right now, that's what quarterbacks are looking at. The NIL is big too. I'm not going to sit here and say it's not. It is a major, major factor, especially with quarterbacks, because there's only one starting quarterback. And you have to have a great starting quarterback if you want to win anything, right? It's going to cost you some money if you're a program and you want a big-time quarterback to come to your school, especially one from out of state that has no allegiance, no ties to your program at all. And he's seeing what other quarterbacks are getting, not only, high school quarterbacks, what they're being promised by programs with NIL, but through the transfer portal too. Quarterbacks, it's the most important position in all of sports, right? At least American sports. Sports around the world, I guess, don't matter. They don't matter to me. This is America. Our sports matter most. And quarterback is the position. It's the most coveted position in American sports. Again, so especially at, in college football world, right, where you can basically offer money through NIL or whoever, right, whatever way you want to do it, because there are no rules or regulations right now. So, yeah, you're looking and saying, okay, what's the NIL game? What is it going to take to get me there? What can I make while I'm at the school? But the depth chart comes into play too. And Dylan Raiola and his family, I'm sure they want to play early and at a place like Georgia next year. If Carson comes back, he's going to be the guy. Well, you're still behind Gunnar Stockton. You're not going to pass Gunnar Stockton on the depth chart. That kid's really good too, and he's waited his turn. He knows the system. He can run. He can throw. He's very good. And he could probably start at a few other places, maybe at other SEC programs. But then there's Ryan Puglisi too, and you're in a battle with that kid the second you get to campus. So from a depth chart perspective, they're probably looking at it and saying, well, they never should have thought they could come to Athens and play early. I mean, it's not happening. The goal at Georgia is to win championships, and you're not going to do that with a freshman quarterback. So I don't know if he thought he was just going to come in and blow the doors off everyone and beat out, Brock Vandagriff, who was just on the roster, and Gunnar Stockton. Seeing that in his mind, I guess he thought Carson Beck was leaving. I don't know, but quarterbacks across the country know that you're not going to go to Georgia and play immediately. If that's your job to play as a freshman, it's not going to be at a place like Georgia. You're going to have to wait your turn and beat out other five-star guys. So whether that was some part of it, I'm not sure. Some sources have told me it was. But at the end of the day, I don't want to talk about this much throughout the week. I know I'm probably going to because that's the big news right now. But I do want to say everything that I need to off the bat while this news is still halfway fresh, right? But I do want to say that Ryan Puglisi is outstanding. The kid can run, he can throw, former baseball star. And again, we were on top of his recruitment. I told our subscribers on Dawg Post, hey, this under-the-radar kid from Connecticut is coming down for a visit. He's going to throw in front of the staff. He's going to go to Alabama too this weekend, but they're probably going to offer. Boom, he throws in front of the staff. Wowed Todd Monken and the rest of that offensive staff, got the offer. Like I reported was going to happen. And then I said, hey, the staff loves him. Todd Monken, big fan of this kid. He's higher on their board than people think. They also want to take two quarterbacks. Boom, he starts trending Georgia's way, and he commits, right? He's been around for a good little bit now. He's been on board. The kid loves Georgia, loves to compete, loves to get better, is trained by a very well-respected quarterback trainer up in the area. The ball jumps out of his hand, and the kid can move. There's a lot to like about his game. His deep ball is great. He can launch it, but he's smart. He understands the position. He knows what to do. He's got presence in the pocket. He can move his feet and dodge defenders while keeping his eyes down the field, but he can also escape and throw on the run or take off for a big gain. I like Ryan Puglisi a lot, and you can look up all of his, not all of his stats, or excuse me, highlights, clips, but we've got a bunch over on Dawg Post on this channel. You're not going to find anywhere else. No one has the clips of Ryan Puglisi that we do. And so if you just type in Ryan Puglisi Dawg Post highlights, boom, there's going to be several videos that come up. And you're going to be like, wow, I haven't seen these anywhere else. Yeah, it's because they're on the Dawg Post channel, right? The kid's very good. Go check him out. And while Dylan Raiola is very good, I think he would have had a very, very successful career in Athens if he keeps developing and projecting into the guy that we think he has the potential to be. But Ryan Puglisi is really good too. Now, if you're Georgia, do you try to flip a last-minute guy who's maybe not great? You didn't recruit him for a reason, right? Are you going to settle and try to flip a kid, or do you hit a guy in the portal? Or do you try to go after one of the best in next year's class in 2025, which is okay. It's not great. Julian Lewis is the guy. And if he reclassifies the 25 class, that should be Georgia's guy. And they should do everything they can to flip that kid. He is very, very good. He's another kid that wants to play. NIL is already a big deal. He's already got, making money in high school right now with companies because you can do that in Georgia right now. So NIL is going to be a big deal with Julian Lewis, as it is with every quarterback. Maybe not Ryan Puglisi. He's going to earn his way through NIL down the road. He's not worried about all that. He's one of the few quarterbacks I've covered, especially his family. His family's great, where they're like, we're here for football. We're here to play. We're here to compete, and we're here to win championships. And, I want to get better as a player. That's what he wants to do. He knows he can learn under Mike Bobo, win a lot of games, and get a strong look from the NFL if he does his job in this system. I'm sure NIL is something he's asked about and intrigued with. Obviously, being the quarterback in the University of Georgia, it's like being the guard for the Lakers, the shortstop for the Yankees, right? It's a big deal. There's a lot of pressure that comes with that, and it takes the right guy, a certain type of guy, to lead the Georgia Bulldogs at quarterback and be successful. So, that's what I think. But if you're trying to wrap your mind around why would Dylan Raiola, who moved to Buford to be closer to Athens, who went to all these games in the fall, why at the last minute would he flip to Nebraska? Why didn't he just commit to Nebraska in the beginning? A lot of it has to do with maybe a last-minute giant NIL deal, which seems very possible, or it could be a depth chart scenario where he and his family got together, they looked over things and said, you know what? We've got one last opportunity to look elsewhere. If we're going to do it, this is the time. We have to do it right now. Maybe Georgia in the grand scheme of things, the big picture is not the best place for you. Dylan Raiola has to do what's best for Dylan Raiola, not what's best for Georgia fans. I don't care how long he's been committed. He was silently committed well before he was publicly committed. He has to do what's best for himself, right? And if that means telling Kirby Smart, hey, I'm going to flip to Nebraska, then that's what he has to do. That's what I would, I mean, I'm not going to talk about what I want to do with my son when he becomes a 5-star quarterback. You know, we're going to cross that bridge when we get there. But everyone's recruitment is different in a way. NIL is presented to different guys in different ways. The depth chart's not always the easiest way for guys to see the field, right? So a lot of factors are going into this. But right now, he is still publicly committed to Georgia. But Dylan Raiola will take an official visit to Nebraska this weekend. I find it hard to believe he would take an official visit to Nebraska the weekend before signing day and then say, you know what, this was great. I think I'm going to stick with Georgia. That sounds a little odd. If he's going to Nebraska for an official visit this weekend, right before he has to make a final decision, that seems like that's probably where he's going to end up. That's what we're hearing right now. If there are any more updates, I guess we'll talk about it more this week, but it's a hot topic, and that's what's going on with the Georgia Bulldogs on the recruiting trail. We will have more over on Dawg Post. Sign up to that free newsletter. That link is down below, and hope to see you on the website.